The Dog and Deuce Show is produced by Dymar Productions in association with Studio B Productions.
Welcome to Utah's longest-running sports podcast. This is Dog and Deuce. Every week, we are right here to take a deep dive into the Utah Jazz, the Utes, Cougars, Aggies, and everything in between. The Jazz split their 2 games with the Lakers and blew the Rockets out of the gym. The problem is the Phoenix Suns keep winning. Plus, Alex Smith finally calls it a day and retires. We'll look back on his underappreciated career. Also, we'll take a look at the latest stories around the NBA. We've got all that and a whole lot more coming your way on Dog and Deuce number 365.
From Studio B in Salt Lake City, this is Dog and Deuce. Join the conversation at doganddeuce.com or send an email to doganddeuce@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening to episode 365 of the Dog and Deuce Show. If you want to know more, and I sure hope you do, follow along with the show notes at doganddeuce.com.
Watch the show all weekend long on K-Patter TV or Backcountry TV, or you can listen wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We would love to hear from you. Send us an email to doganddeuce@gmail.com. I'm Dog.
And I'm Deuce.
And this is episode 365 of Dog and Deuce. You can follow along and subscribe and like and comment and all that stuff on our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/DD on sports. Slow growth, man. I've never built a YouTube channel before, but it's much harder than the kids make you think it is. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I can only imagine. That's why it's never been built.
Exactly. Well, I've tried in the past, like years ago. I tried. And it was just so much work, and it just was not even worth it. But I kind of found a way to streamline a little bit. So trying to throw more content and stuff up there. So we definitely want to push people over there. I want to see how far we can actually push this thing. It is very slow growth though, but that's okay. We always play the long game. That's what we do here.
That's how we roll. Long game, man. Long-term investors.
Exactly. Twitter accounts. You are running the show account at Dog and Deuce. Give James a follow. He's always spitting that fire. And I am at A Martindale Film. Quick thing, a couple housekeeping things real quick. First of all, we got some great feedback on our first quick cast. People really liked the format. They liked the more informal nature of it. So if you want to listen to that, you can go to our website, doganddeuce.com, or go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/DD on sports. I recommend going to the YouTube channel and watching it because you gave us a reveal of your hair before you chopped it off. And like, you look like a whole different person now.
Wow, dude. Look at that, man.
You've chopped off the hair. You've chopped off the beard. You look like a whole different person.
It's official.
It's official. So if you want to get
I've been activated. I've been activated by the black tread. What was the one in Jason Bourne?
No idea.
Black tread.
Something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm activated.
But yeah, if you want to get an idea of what James looked like before he drastically changed his look in an afternoon, head over there and check it out. We have a really cool thing coming up on Monday. It's going to drop on Monday. It'll be on the YouTube channel. It'll also be in the podcast feed, but we really like pushing people to that YouTube channel. Frank Turner is our guest. We interviewed him yesterday. It was a fantastic conversation. If you're not familiar with Frank Turner, he is my favorite singer-songwriter. And there's a lot I didn't mention to him in the conversation because I didn't want to fanboy out too much. But I love him so much. I actually have a Frank Turner tattoo on my arm, which I'm really proud of. And he single-handedly got me to expand what I listen to, music genres. I was stuck in my punk rock little space for so long, and because of Frank Turner, I have now branched out, and I'm still pretty narrow-minded when it comes to music, but I'm far more eclectic in my taste than I ever was before. So that will drop on Monday. We were super excited to talk to him. That was a lot of fun. But let's get down to it, man. Utah Jazz. They, I don't know what to think because, I mean, it's fun to blow out the Rockets. It's fun to show how good Rudy Gobert is, because the first game against the Lakers, he wasn't playing. Andre Drummond goes off. The very next game, he just shuts down Andre Drummond. So it's fun to see that kind of stuff. But again, I mean, we talk about this all the time. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but how much can you learn about a team when they're blowing out their opponent constantly, when they're playing the crappy teams? And I really don't think, I know the Jazz have a great record against 500 and above teams, but I still am not sure we've got all those teams at full strength. It just feels like over the course of the season, we have played teams when they're very shorthanded. I don't know what your thoughts are at this point in the season. We're wrapping up.
I mean, that's a fact. 13 games left. They're doing what they have to do. It's crazy. I was just wondering if Jazz Nation or the NBA or whoever, someone, gamblers, I guess. Last week we talked about how Rudy Gobert hasn't missed a game. And then he sits out the back-to-back. And I was like, man, this is getting weird. I don't want to think we're masters of the universe, but that's pretty bizarre, needless to say. We should have known it was coming. He sat out his first game in the loss on Saturday to the Lakers. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell's injury has put the Jazz in a position where other players need to step up. And Joe Ingles has been on fire and fuego. And I don't really know if I can see. It's hard for me to know. I don't want to downplay his streak, especially over the last month, because he had been playing really, really well, even when Donovan was in the lineup. But since Donovan's been out, he's seemed to be more aggressive and more willing to just pop the shot. Maybe like when Gordon Hayward was on the team. It feels like he's a little more aggressive in that manner, and the results have followed. So that's a positive, right? I mean, we're seeing Joe sort of come alive at the right time. For the better part of the year, he hadn't been playing terrible, but he had been, I would say, a little under expectations of what we needed from him.
Joe Ingles?
To be uber competitive in the West.
Joe Ingles?
Yeah.
I thought he's had a great season.
I feel like he hasn't hit the corner three with quite as much consistency as I would like.
Dude, he's shooting like 49% from three. He's leading.
I'm just telling you what I see. Maybe it's the times. That's over the last month. You got to look back in January and February.
No, in the NBA, he is the number one player right now in 3-point percentage. He is killing it. He's having a career year. He is looking like amazing. And here's James trying to take a guy down when he's on fire. I see how it is. Jess actually mentioned something to me right before we went on Mike. She said that you are basically Joe Ingles.
What?
You're Joe Ingles.
I mean, I'll take that as a compliment.
Well, I would, but it's she was saying it in regards to the shoes, because Joe's always wearing pure white shoes.
Well, but Joe knows. I'm sorry. I mean, the statistics are there, and you're right. Statistically, it just feels like maybe it's less shots. Maybe it's that I need him to shoot more. Maybe that's what it is.
I mean, there are stretches. There are stretches when I would like him to shoot more, but this year
He's even taken more. I don't know. I don't know why I feel that way. Then I don't know.
He is having like a crazy good year. That's why I'm a little surprised to hear you say that. You must be tuning in like right at the lulls, at the only lulls he's having in the game.
I mean, I should be honest. I did not watch the Houston Rockets game. I spoke with you. You told me it was a blowout, and I was like, well, why waste my time? There was never in doubt. I mean, it was on, but I wasn't really fully invested. I was working and doing some other stuff, so I wasn't really paying attention. There was no need to. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you're right. I don't know why I feel that way. It's weird. Man, this is a clear case of where the eyes are lying to me. But I would like to see what January and February looks like, because his March and Aprils have been insane.
Yeah. Well, he's going through like these 10-game stretches where he just will go on fire. I think because there are times when I'm kind of feeling the same way, and then I have to remind myself how great a season he's having. I think it's when he's not starting and his minutes are limited. Like when Conley's not playing, or now Donovan's not playing, he's getting more minutes and he's really impressing. But he's so good from three, and he's so good at running the offense that I hate it when he's not on the floor, which is so weird to say. Because if you were to look at Joe Ingles and be like, is this a guy that you actually need? Just based on his physical appearance and the way he plays the game and how slow he can be, you would never expect that he'd be this vital to this team. So, I mean, one of the more underrated signings a couple years ago when they extended his contract, because he has just been gangbusters this year, despite what James likes to
I mean,
say.
you're right. His estimated field goal efficiency, field goal percentage, whatever, 70.4, the highest of his career. You know, I don't know what it is. I don't know. And maybe that is it. When he's starting,
He's getting more minutes.
well, the problem is he's probably not going to start in the playoffs.
Right.
So if what you're saying is true, that presents a problem. Maybe he is a person who needs to play more minutes. Let's see. He's playing less than last year. So his minutes have gone down since he joined the Jazz. If we go back to 17, 18, 31, 29, down to 27 this year. I don't know why my brain thinks that way, but it's wrong this morning. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's because Joe Ingles, I love him. I mean, he's just, when he's talking trash, when he's going full Joe mode, it's hilarious. Like he is worth the price of admission, just him.
I think the reason I made a mistake. The reason I made the mistake is I have something on my mind that I need to sort of clear the air on.
Right.
And that's on our quick cast episode of last week. How you were shocked, your terrible text. By the way, I've ran this down with neighbors. Talked to my neighbor yesterday while I was walking the dog about the situation in the world as we see it. And I said, he sent this to me and he's like, man, that's pretty hard. I can see why you think that way. I mean, Tiger Woods just is in the hospital still. But I need to say this. And I haven't heard anyone say this, and it came to me while I was just sitting there. Lord knows what I was doing, just sitting, really. I do that a lot. But Dwyane Wade might have had the most unique career of any Hall of Famer ever.
Okay.
If you think back to, and I'm saying this, and it came to me of why anyone who would ever question whether or not Dwyane Wade being an owner of the Utah Jazz won't work. Here's the answer, and I think it's a good one to why it will. Has any other Hall of Famer added to his team after he's already established that he's a really good player? Now, granted, when he first added Shaq to Miami, he was bordering on the Dwyane Wade we know, but maybe not quite yet Dwyane Wade.
Okay.
Right? And then, so he adds Shaq, who, I mean, I think is probably a top 10 NBA player of all time. And then he adds arguably, or they come to him and form a super team, LeBron James, who's arguably the one or two best players. So what other Hall of Famer superstar in their prime has added two of the 10 greatest players in the history of the NBA, and you've heard no rumblings of problems? It's normally the opposite. Normally it's teams are separating because of, difficulty amongst the superstars.
Right. Like
Dwyane Wade takes Shaq, who had an obviously, I don't want to call it checkered, but an issue between him and Kobe that broke apart what could have been a crazy run. And then you add LeBron James, who, despite what people want to say, had the PR snafu of taking my talents to South Beach. They were the villains and then becoming everyone liking him. I mean, that is a unique thing that, as I racked my brain while I was thinking about this, like no other Hall of Famer, possible third best shooting guard in the history of the NBA superstar that I'm aware of has added something like that and it gone so smoothly. So if you have any doubt that he's able to collaborate in a way, in a difficult situation or what could be a difficult situation, worry no more. Those two circumstances, I think, present a pretty strong case as to why Dwyane Wade's going to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And having him as a owner of the Utah Jazz can only be positive. We have no reason to assume that anything negative will come of it, because nothing Dwyane Wade has done has ever been negative that I'm aware of.
He's one of the most likable superstars of all time. Like, you don't hear, like, even Michael Jordan, people love him and rightfully so, but there are still issues. And he was, you watch The Last Dance and you see how hard he was on guys and what a tough teammate he could be at times. Kobe Bryant, as much as everyone loves him, he could be a tough teammate at times. Shaq and Kobe, think about that. Shaq and Kobe had a giant feud that broke apart probably what I think would have been the greatest team of all time, undisputed. I mean, they were already pretty close, and they broke that apart. Dwyane Wade never a peep, even when everyone left. Never a peep. He never talked trash. Yeah, I mean, you look at like Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving and how they were talking trash. Like. Or wait, who was Steph talking trash with? Was it Kyrie Irving when they were at a party or something? I can't remember what it was. It was like a video, and they were talking trash on. I think it was on LeBron, actually. So there was never any of that. Dwyane Wade he's a stand-up class guy. And then we talked about this on the Quickcast that his transgender daughter and how he has just been so open and accepting and loving, and how now LGBTQ plus rights are very important to him. So there's nothing unlikable about Dwyane Wade, and I just don't see how it. I agree. I don't see how it could be a negative at all, despite what an uncomfortably large portion of the Jazz fan base might say. And I think we should probably address this a little bit because it is big news. It is big Jazz news within the community, and it's disgusting is what it is. But basically, let's go back to on the day that Derek Chauvin was convicted on all 3 counts. I think it was second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and manslaughter. I can't remember which degree manslaughter it was. In the death of George Floyd, there was a lot of people were very happy. They feel like justice was served to varying degrees, but he's been held accountable. The Utah Jazz posted this on their Facebook page. They said, our hearts are with George Floyd's family today. His murder, among too many examples of senseless killing, systemic racism, and injustice, has only heightened the urgency to peacefully and emphatically work towards creating sustainable and meaningful change. The work ahead of us remains clear, our resolve is strong, and our actions must be even stronger. People took exception to this. Not just exception, people were vocally opposed to this very sensible, thoughtful, empathetic message of the Utah Jazz. There were no politics involved. There's nothing objectionable, in my opinion, in that statement whatsoever. Yet there is and I'll say it again, an uncomfortably large portion of this fan base that has deep-seated racist ideologies and thoughts, and they can't help but spout those on social media and on the internet. And if I sound angry, it's because I'm fed up. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of being associated with a fan base that can be so despicable at times. Now, with that said, I have seen personally, this is just anecdotal, so take it for what it is. I have personally seen far more people in support of the Utah Jazz and against this type of attitude by these racist fans than I have the actual racist fans. So that has been encouraging to me, but still the fact remains that these people are out there, they are toxic, and they are actively hurting this community, the NBA, and where we call home, quite frankly. And I am sick of it. I'm fed up. I can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. And this comes on the heels of the conversation last week over the scholarships. It's like the absurdity. I mean, again, it's America. Everyone has a right to their opinion. But these opinions are not only terrible, they're just not the way the world is progressing. And they're very tone deaf, right? And they're not something that I support. And I really wish that they would. I mean, it's a hard to know whether I really want to know them or not, from a philosophical view, because the majority of Jazz fans that I interact with, I don't believe have these tendencies.
Right.
And so it's sort of a subgroup outside of my bailiwick or the people that I talk to and discuss life with. And it's unnerving. It's disturbing. And frankly, it's pathetic.
It is.
Like, if a statement like that, I mean, look, he got his day in court, and you can say he is guilty of murder. That is a fact of life at this moment in time. Till it's overturned, that is a fact. It's not an opinion.
Right.
The deal is done. right?
Right.
So and I find that these are often people who have these beliefs who are like way into like, let the courts decide or whatever,
Right.
like they'll have their day in court if they did it wrong, like, or it feels that way at times. It's just not when they disagree with it.
Right.
So they really struggle to accept reality when it comes up against how they view the world. This is a problem for all people, whether or not you like it. I mean, and agree with their point of view. Things that I disagree with, I struggle with when court opinions don't go the way I think they should. But that's life. And I think this one was pretty cut and dry. I mean, it's sort of sad that everything we went through in 2020 in relation to George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter movement, the just outcrying of desire to just be seen and heard and respected on a humanistic level is still causing this sort of division from people who don't see the world in that manner. I don't know any other way to say it, because not only am I fed up, it's just so confusing.
It is.
When I see these people, I'm just like, what world are you living in, man? Where it's not all right to say that someone committed a heinous crime and we're happy that they were, that justice was served. I don't know why that's a controversial take.
I don't either. And this is what's so frustrating, because everyone's trying to make this a political issue. And to me, there is nothing political about this. You watched that video. You watched a man die for 9 minutes in a horrible, cruel manner. And you cannot let, I don't even want to say it's political. You can't let your racism go for 1 minute to say that human being suffered needlessly. There is no reason for that. You can't even let that go. And when someone or an organization posts an empathetic message that let's try to make sure this kind of thing never happens again, you take exception to that? What the hell is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? I sent this out on Twitter, and I believe it wholeheartedly. I wish these people would just follow through on their vow to never watch Jazz basketball again. Please, go away. You'd be happier. We'd be happier. It's just a better situation if you finally just give it up like you've been promising you're going to do since June and just go away, because I don't want to be associated with them. I'm tired of this organization and the fans that I know being dragged through the mud because these racist bigots cannot understand that there is a world outside of their little bubble. And that's my rant. And I'm sorry. We wanted to have a fun episode, but I was just so incensed by this.
Well, I mean, it really drives me crazy because it makes me feel like a crazy person.
Yeah.
When I walk around the world, I'm like, how can this be? This is such a non-controversial statement. The people have spoken, the jury,
right? And
this is where it is. And it please, like, if any time a player or the team, the franchise, the organization attempts to say even the most blasé thing about social justice, if all these people are going to keep popping up, then quit watching. I don't know that means they'll quit popping up, though.
Right.
But if that correlation is there, then yes, please turn in your card and go I don't know. I don't even know who you would like, because you're in a really rough position, because this is the world is attempting to head in the direction that it's not all right to kill someone because of the color of their skin. Well, and it's unfortunate that we're not already there. I should point that out.
How are we not? Seriously. And I know it's not like it's creating more division by me saying just leave. Like, it's not. I get it. It's not in the spirit of unity. I just don't know what more to do, man. I talk to my kids about it. I try to be as proactive as I know how to be in this issue. I just don't know what more to do. And the only thing I can think of is for these people to just go away, go in their little bubble, and just stay there and stop rearing your head. But I'm going to say this. This is why I'm so damn proud of the Utah Jazz, because this stuff pops up. They make a thoughtful comment on it. The trolls come out of the scumbags, come out of the woodwork to criticize them. It would be very easy for them to say, oh, this is unpopular and it could cost us money, so we're not going to do it. And they don't do that. They continue to say the right things and to do the right things. And if for a franchise in Utah to do that, I'm just so damn proud of them. I could not be prouder of the organization for not bowing to these cowards and these people who just have no sense of reality. They have no grasp on reality whatsoever. And so good on the Utah Jazz. That's all I got to say. All right.
I think you said it best, man. Woo. Now you're ready to go. So I've mischaracterized Joe Ingles' season. We've called out the bigots and racists who continue to sound off. The worst part is what they say is so just nonsensical.
It doesn't make any sense.
Dang, man, dropping acid at 8 a.m. Relax, dude. Chill out. What are you talking about?
If their argument had some sort of basis in if I could relate to their argument in some way, like if I could say, okay, maybe I can see how they could twist it around, then maybe I could relate to them a little bit better and be a little bit more kind. But I don't have that in me. I see what they're saying, and I'm like, how do people like this even exist? How can you be so angry about such a decent post that has nothing objectionable in it? Oh, I can't handle it anymore. Let's talk some basketball.
It really does. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like when this happens, so now for the last 2 weeks, it's like I'm walking around wondering if I'm crazy.
Yes.
That's how I feel. I'm like, so I take my dogs for walks Monday through Thursday, sometimes on Friday. And this is my thinking time where so I'm walking around. I'm kind of probably look like Rain Man, although I don't have the headphones, but like I am that dude who's walking to their dogs, talking to themselves.
Yeah. So
if you ever see a person with 2 dogs, like this conversation is very enlightening. You know, it should be a podcast in and of itself. But I mean, literally I'm like, what? Like, and so then I'll read it and I'll be like, no, I don't understand. It's mind blowing and it's a bad look.
It really is.
Please go. If you can't handle the direction, the franchise, and frankly, the city is how I feel is headed.
Yep.
Then yeah,
hang it out,
yourself out. There's Idaho, there's Montana, there's Wyoming.
Yeah.
There's lots of places.
And I'm not even saying they need to leave, although, they'd make life a little bit easier for us, but I don't want to,
there's no professional basketball team there. You won't have to worry about them putting out comments that bug you.
Exactly. I just want them to stop watching Jazz basketball and stop being invested in it, as they've been promising that they're going to do for a very long time. They've been promising forever that they're going to do it, but they don't. They keep doing it. It just so aggravating. Anyway, let's talk a little Jazz basketball. So, Joe Ingles sucks.
No, and I'm really sorry. I don't know why my brain tells me that.
I know what you're talking about, though, because as we kind of discussed this, when he doesn't get the minutes, it kind of feels that way. It almost feels like every second he's on the floor is very precious. And when he's not maximizing what we would like him to do, not maximizing his productivity, then it feels a little wasted, even though it's not. Like, I want to see more pick and roll. I want to, like he's so good at those slow-mo layups and dishing off to Favors. And so I kind of understand what you're saying. The next week,
but the numbers don't support it. So I'm wrong. I accept it.
He just, I kind of feel bad for every other player in today's NBA who's not on the Jazz, because they have to play against Joe Ingles. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine trying to play against Joe Ingles? The greatest player of all time, like dethrone Michael Jordan.
Greatest player of all time, talking trash, bringing game, bringing heat.
How can they even hope to compete against that? The dude is just...
I just wonder how I could be so wrong based on the numbers. I don't know. It's confusing.
I don't know.
I'm not often that far off, but...
So this week...
Tells you, man. Pandemic's really got my brains turned to mush.
You and me both,
Must be that second shot, that first shot.
It's gotta be, yeah. Just wait till I get my second. So this week is going to be a light week for the Jazz, and they're going to need it. They're going to need that light week. They got Minnesota on Saturday, and then again on Monday, and that's a home and then away, and then they travel to Sacramento to take on the Kings. We're going to stop there because next week we are definitely going to be previewing the big Phoenix Suns game that follows up that Kings game. But we'll preview that for next week. So they need to get their rest in now while they can. But the thing is, I don't know how much in that first Laker game. I'm not sure how much let's rest some guys. Let's give them some rest. And how much was actual injury? I got to think that the majority was actual injury because they were so shorthanded, and the Phoenix Suns are right there, dude. They are right there, and they're not losing. They won in overtime to Milwaukee, and they followed it up by beating Philly last night or Wednesday, which was last night. And then they're going to play Boston. I'm sure they'll beat Boston. And they're going to play the Nets, who does not have James Harden. They probably will have KD, though. I heard he might be coming back on Friday. So who knows on that one. But I could see them sweeping this East Coast road trip. And we were kind of banking on them losing one or two of those games because they are right on the Jazz heels. But here's the thing. Don't count out the Clippers, man. Like, they have the same amount of wins as the Jazz. Oh, no, two wins less than the Jazz. They're only 3 games behind. Like, don't count them out either. This is going to be a tight race. The Jazz, I don't think they can afford to rest many guys the rest of the way. I hate to say it.
You're right. And it's so bizarre because of the Lakers situation with injuries and them dropping. It could be a positive or a negative thing, right? Like, think about this. Ideally, if you had to ideally choose the first round matchup, you would want the Lakers as the standings currently sit, right? You want the Lakers to keep losing so they face the Clippers in the first round.
Yep.
That will eliminate who I think most people consider, or the Clippers to move up, vice versa, whichever has those two, the Clippers and the Lakers, whether it's a 2-7 or 3-6. I don't even know how they're doing it. It's so confusing to me. But whatever it would take for one of those LA teams to be eliminated in the first round of the playoffs after the playoff game would be ideal. Because it would mean, after that, for all practical purposes, the Jazz would be favored in every series except the team that comes out of that one, I think.
I would think
you
so.
know? And it would make the path manageable. And you could see a route where, like, maybe we can't beat the Clippers and the Lakers in back-to-back series, but we can get one of them in one series, whether it's the semis or the conference finals remains to be seen. But that would be ideal when you're talking about standing. And the same could be true if the Jazz drop.
Right.
Right. With the play-in and how well Steph Curry has been playing, I'm not sure. Well, I would still pick the Jazz over the Warriors. That series could be a lot more difficult than we were originally thinking.
I don't want to play the Warriors. Right. I'll tell you that right now. I don't want to play the Warriors.
I'll take the Spurs.
I'll take the Spurs.
I'll take the Grizzlies. I would probably even take the Mavericks before I would take the Warriors.
The way Steph is playing right now, he is unstoppable right now. I've never seen anything like this. And we talk about this all the time, but he literally changed the game. How many players in the history of the NBA can you look at and say that guy actually changed how the game is played? Not many.
Yeah. Well, and not just that. This last 10, 11 game run has sort of been, because last year he was injured a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Then the year before they were good, but whatever. But this has been a reminder of, for me at least, of those kind of years when the Warriors were fun before they added Durant,
right?
Where it was just sort of the Splash Brothers just continually shooting threes and being themselves and doing it at a clip you'd never seen. I don't know if you saw the stat. This in their career, Steph Curry, I think, has 22 now games where he's made 10 3-pointers. Yeah, I'll guess.
Nuts,
what is the next highest one?
10 3-pointers. It'd have to be in this era.
For sure. But how many games do they have? I'm not asking you to guess the person.
I'm going to say it's James Harden.
And Harden's there. And it's like Harden, Lillard, a couple others, and they have like 4, 5.
I was going to say like 10.
The whole NBA. Here's a stat for you. The whole NBA this year, one player in one game, 5 players have made 10 threes in one game.
That's crazy.
There's been 5 games. Steph Curry has 6.
That's crazy.
By himself this year. So he's got one more than the whole league combined. It's been a nice reminder of how special he is. The Warriors, when they added Durant, sort of drifted to the side of very similar to the Heat, where it was like, man, you guys were already so good. Why'd you have to do that? Now we don't like you. And I think, in all honesty, truth be told, if Klay comes back and the Warriors make a run over the next few years, they'll probably regain some of that love from the rest of the association because they won't have KD on the team. It might be the best thing that ever happened to him.
It almost feels like a comeback story, which is so absurd to think about, but it does. Yeah. Like what Steph's doing, it's easier to palate now that they're not number one and dominating. It's easier to palate. It's like, oh, look at Steph, he's doing it again, you know, because no one really considers them a threat to take the title. Doesn't mean they're not, because anything's possible with Steph Curry, but it's kind of cute. It's fun. Yeah. We can enjoy it a little bit more, you know. But going back to the playoff seeding, can you imagine if the Jazz, so if the Lakers and Clippers play, and then winner of that plays the Suns? Like, dude, that's the easiest path the Jazz could have for a title.
Literally the most ideal scenario ever.
Right. But knowing our luck, it's going to be just the opposite, and the Jazz are going to have to go through that juggernaut, unfortunately.
Possible. But I mean, look, the Lakers are 5-5 in their last 10. The amazing thing about them is their defensive rating hasn't slipped since LeBron and AD. I mean, they're a top 5 defensive team in the league, which is crazy without LeBron or AD. When you got Drummond and Schroeder and the like, you don't really consider those guys. I mean, Drummond's all right defensively. Schroeder, I think, has always been a liability. Kuz is good. KCP is good. I honestly, I have to say, like, I mean, LeBron has been gone a month. When I heard that he was coming back and I realized that he had been gone for like 17 games, I didn't think it doesn't feel like it's been that long.
No, it doesn't. AD feels like he's been gone forever. And I think he's coming back. Like, I think he's ready to go.
I think he'll be back at their next game. So, I mean, just something to look at. And it's weird. I wonder if teams are sort of gaming the standings.
I think so.
You know?
I mean, they do every year, right? You have to.
Yeah, but this year, I don't know. I mean, maybe,
because
I don't know. But if you're the Clippers and the Lakers, you don't want that scenario.
Usually
you got to start getting some wins, or will they rest to lose coming down the stretch? Who knows? It's going to be wild to see.
In a typical year, the Jazz are fighting for that 4 through 8 spot, to be honest with you. So they're typically like, you just win as much as you can. Don't worry about it. But I would imagine that if you're at the top of the standings, maybe you do game a little bit, you know, as the playoff picture kind of shapes more and becomes clearer. I think maybe you do. And maybe this is what good teams do. Maybe this is what the best teams do.
I mean, even if you're the Lakers, maybe you want to play. I mean, I guess the Nuggets are probably your best team you want to play. You want to stick right where you are, because without Jamal Murray, I think you can handle them pretty easily.
Oh, you would think so.
Consider the Nuggets a threat? We were talking off mic. Jokic is your MVP. I'm still on the Embiid train personally, because they have the best record in the East. He's been playing beautifully.
Jokic isn't my MVP right now, but if they keep winning like they're doing without Jamal Murray, then it's going to be very hard to deny him.
8-2 in their last 10 winners of 4 straight. But are they a threat?
The easy answer is no. But here's the thing, couple things. Every single year we say no about the Nuggets. Every single year. They made it to the Western Conference Finals last year. You know, so it's easy to discount the Nuggets. It's kind of a yearly tradition around the NBA, right? And it's even easier to say no now because of Jamal Murray. But man, Jokic really is that good. And adding Gordon,
I just can't get there.
Well, dude,
I hear what you're saying, and I agree, and you're not wrong. But it just seems without Jamal. I mean, you just think about last year and the run they had in the bubble. Like, Jokic was good, but it really was Murray.
Oh, it was. But
when they beat the Jazz without Jamal Murray, they're maybe swept or 4-1.
Yeah,
he had like 3 50-point games or something like that.
I know, but are you gonna count on him to do that consistently? Like, to me, it's easy. It's more dependable to lean on Jokic than it is to ask Jamal Murray to do that again, to repeat that, because even this season when he was playing, he wasn't what he was in the bubble. You know, which is not a knock on him. It's damn near impossible to be that because he was so good. So to me, if they keep winning, they might be a little bit of a dark horse. That said, a threat for the title? No, I don't think so. But I think they could surprise a team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they could get the Lakers. They need to either rise up or drop. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he's averaging 21 this year. And I mean, his efficiency is far below Joe Ingles at 55.9. Joe Ingles is at 70.
That's what I said.
So maybe I am giving Jamal Murray too much effective field goal percentage or whatever.
Joe Ingles, greatest player of all time. I'm telling you, man. It's not even up for
and he
debate.
wears what number?
Number 2. Dude, you
How
are
could I ever
you
hate
are
on
Joe
Deuce,
Ingles. You like the boring shoes. You're basically a dad. I guarantee Joe Ingles rocks a fanny pack.
I am a dad. I'm not basically. I do have children.
But I do too.
I am a dad.
But when I say dad, I mean like dad mode,
like old man dad.
Fanny pack, tucking in your polo shirt, socks with sandals. That's Joe Ingles and that's James Dyer.
Again, on my walk, I had a neighbor tell me just the other day that Birkenstocks were designed to wear with socks.
Well, and you're going to do it, aren't you?
No. I said, that's the most absurd thing ever.
I agree with that, actually. It is absurd. Don't do that.
But he's like, no, literally. And then he pulled it up his phone and showed me that literally they're designed to wear with socks.
Well, that's the design flaw. That's what that is.
Thanks, Barry.
Barry. I'm going to have words with Barry. Okay, let's real fast because we are running short on time. My rant ate up a lot of our clock. So let's do this real quick. The next 3 games, Utah Jazz, starting home against the Timberwolves, away against the Timberwolves, and away against the Kings. What do you got them doing in the next 3?
I mean, it's got to be 3-0.
It better be.
The pressure's on. Again, and we've been harping on this. The Jazz, I think, need to finish.
They have to.
And be the number 1 seed psychologically, regardless of the injuries. I mean, to Donovan, regardless of the tough stretch of the season we're in, a lot of games in a short amount of time. I think psychologically, while I don't know that I would go as far as to say it would be devastating, I think it would put a hitch in their giddy up if they somehow drop to 2 or heaven forbid even 3. I really do.
I agree.
So, I mean, I think it's important for them to finish strong, whether or not Donovan's on the floor. And I mean, you see the impact, hearkening back to something we discussed about, can they win without Donovan? Can they win without Rudy? And then you see the difference in 2 days, right? Between the Lakers games where Rudy's not on the floor and they couldn't hang really. They were struggling to hang at the rim.
You're right. But let's also give a little credit. Because the Jazz were missing more than Rudy. They were missing pretty much everybody.
True, Connolly and the like. Yeah, I mean, and Connolly's a big one as well.
Right.
But he's never going to play on back.
Clarkson didn't play. Or did he play? No, he didn't play. He played the next game, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So they were down to their G League squad essentially.
Right. And shout out Bogey starting to hit threes. I don't want to say hasn't looked good all year, because then you'll pull out some statistical situation and tell me how I'm wrong. But he's finally at least seeming to hit threes. Semi-active on defense, which is an upgrade.
It is.
I mean, honestly, as good as the Jazz are at scoring, Jazz fans really do need to take a deep breath and recognize that I can say with 99.999% certainty, it's probably not going to be that easy in the playoffs.
Agreed. Totally agree.
So we do need to sort of harken back to our defensive, and I'm not saying let go of the offensive, but there does need to be a reminder and an emphasis on defense. And I don't know if you heard Quinn yesterday after the game, I heard his comments, and they were talking about Jordan Clarkson and Joe Ingles for 6th man of the year. And he said, that's great. I hope they win it, but I'd much rather have them be battling for defensive player of the year along with Rudy. So, I mean, I think Quinn is even sort of on the same page where, he's happy with the results and all that, but he is sensing that it's time to sort of hunker down and get back to a defensive intensity level that the Jazz have been known for in the past.
The bread and butter for sure. Defense and rebounding. They need to do that. All right. I've kind of, we gotta take what's coming to us right now. Nate the Hemorrhoid, after weeks of baffling silence after his win in our bracket, he's finally showed his face and man, he really is happy that he won this bracket challenge of ours. So Again, before I play this, I just want everyone who joined in the bracket. That was a lot of fun. Thank you for joining. I'm disappointed in every one of you, though, for allowing this to happen.
What? Are you even surprised? Of course I won. It's kind of what I do. Anyway, I wish I could say it was a hard-fought battle, but it wasn't.
Oh.
It was over even before it started. I kind of felt like Utah when they played BYU. It's just an inevitable thing. Me beating you all. It's just kind of nice.
This sucks.
But anyway, a lot has happened, so in summary, I'll just kind of say the fast points. Super duper happy about D Wade and what he can bring to the Jazz organization. Spida hurting his ankle made me want to throw up, but I don't think it was an intentional thing, Mr. Dog. It was just unlucky, and hopefully he's not out too long. That Saturday matinee with the Lakers was actually a fun game. It sucked that we lost, but we should be happy. Our third stringers actually kept it close with the second stringers, so now it's just a matter of if our first stringers can stand toe-to-toe with theirs. And if Charlie Brewer can stay healthy for the Utes and the defense looking freaking ridiculous, it could actually be another special year, in my opinion. And lastly, congrats to Alex Smith on a decent career. Not a great career, but he overcame so many obstacles that he should go down as a good QB who might be one of the best teammates a team could have. And I'm going to have to say, Deuce, you're looking fantastic with the new look. And Alan, you're pretty cute too. Long live the Hemorrhoid.
I mean, all these people are telling me how cute I am. It's starting to go to my head. I didn't know it could get any bigger.
Exactly,
man. Like, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, here we are. But yeah, I mean, he's saying this, James, before you chopped everything off. So I wonder what he thinks of your beautiful look now. Loving
Probably
it. Probably
not looking too hot.
I think it looks good, dude. I like it. But yeah, let's talk about Alex Smith. And thanks to Nate, as always, for chiming in. And if you'd like to hit us up on our voicemail and text line, we would love it. And we encourage it. And we invite it. And we just love the interaction. And that number is 801-477-7678. That's 801-47-SPORT. Let us know what's going on inside that head of yours. But Alex Smith, we got 10 minutes left. I think he had a better career than Nate kind of led on there. Like, he implied it was solid, but not great. I think Alex Smith I think what he did on the field in the NFL was underappreciated by the majority of NFL fans and the majority of national media.
I mean, I think no question, right? Like, if you are, and this comes from a Bears fan, so I need to be clear, but if you are a fan of an NFL team and he was your starting quarterback, truth be told, you didn't have a whole lot of losing seasons. In fact, you had many winning seasons, many high-level winning seasons, went to the playoffs a lot. Sure, were his stats what we think of in 2019, 2020, and 21 from a QB perspective? No. But at the end of the day, really, all that matters are W's.
But how could it be? I mean, how could he have insane numbers after coming back from that, you know?
Oh, well, no, for sure. I mean, even before that.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
I mean, like when he was with Kansas City before Patrick Mahomes took over, that was sort of the thing, game manager with all these, you know. But if you look at, and again, he led the Washington Redskins to the playoffs last year. I think they made the playoffs, if my memory serves me correctly.
I think they did.
On a dramatically repaired leg, the Washington Football Club, pardon me, that's what they're called now. The Washington Football Club made the playoffs with a quarterback who almost had to have his leg amputated, who came back.
Dude, listen to this. So in 2013, he went to Kansas City, went 11-4, 8-7, 11-5, 11-4, 9-6, and then 6-4. Like, dude, that's pretty damn solid. He made a couple Pro Bowls. Alex Smith he always had that stigma attached to him as game manager, which I thought is kind of stupid, because while technically it's true, he could win you a game, and he did it. Like, he was much better than anyone. The majority of people, and it could be, you know, bias. I have some bias because I am a Utah fan, but I just thought he was criminally underappreciated. And for
Yeah,
what he
I
did.
mean, I wouldn't go great. I wouldn't go very good. It's somewhere
Right.
in between good and very good. Definitely not bust, which a lot of people sort of had him on the precipice of after he left San Francisco. But the bottom line is, I mean, and you have to think further about what he did for those franchises.
Right.
Like, you know, I mean, think about it. He led the 49ers. Then they put in Colin Kaepernick, who took him to a Super Bowl and
Right.
lost.
Right.
He mentored Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs were really good, as you said, 6-4 before he was replaced that year. And mentored Patrick Mahomes. And now they're the legit champs and contenders every year. Right. And I really feel like for the Washington Football Club, if they had let more times with Dwayne Haskins, that might have been an option. Like, I was disappointed to see them let him go. I thought that might be a way where he could help another young player meet their potential. So, I mean, he is literally the ideal professional.
Yeah, I mean, his record.
While, you know, and why you, when you're the number one pick, there's always a different level of expectations. You could have done a hell of a lot worse in the history of number one picks.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I mean, remember, and I'm not casting aspersions, but I don't even know. Was Ryan Leaf the number one pick? He flamed out. I mean, there's a long list of people drafted high. And I only think of Ryan Leaf because he was a quarterback from the Pacific Northwest.
Do you remember how bummed San Francisco fans were because they thought they were going to get Matt Leinart, but Leinart decided to come back? So Alex Smith ended up going number one. You know, well, whatever happened to Matt Leinart? You know, nothing. He went to Arizona, nothing. So to me, I definitely agree. Alex Smith's record for his career, 99, 67, and 1, which is pretty damn good for a game manager, you know. But
it is. And the real thing that he runs up against, right, is there's a quarterback who was drafted later who they thought would be drafted higher named Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
And they're always connected no matter what.
It'll always be that way, for sure.
And Aaron Rodgers is like one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So it kind of puts Alex Smith in the awkward position of being really good, but not Aaron Rodgers, and was drafted higher than him. But needless to say, his recovery from last year was emotional, and I was worried every single game that I saw him play that something worse was going to happen.
Every time he go down, man, I was terrified.
I'm grateful it didn't, and grateful he's a Ute, and grateful that he had a good career.
My fondest memories were definitely him as a Ute and what he did with that Fiesta Bowl team. Where, I mean, he was like Tom Brady at that, you know, he was like the college version of Tom Brady, where there was never any doubt. Like the confidence, I kind of feel like it almost spoiled us as Ute fans because we saw how easily he played the game in college, and we're kind of expecting our guys to do that from here on out, you know, which is just not realistic. But I still believe, like, I'm not sure they would have beat USC that year, but they would have made it a hell of a game. Like,
yeah.
to me, I'm convinced.
We'll never know. That year was the year where I really would have loved to seen some next level competition. Pittsburgh wasn't it, even though they had Larry Fitzgerald.
I really believe the Utes were the second best team in the country, maybe the first. Honestly, I'm not going to go that far. I'll only let my biased homerism take me so far. I'm not going to go definitely best team, but I think they were the second best team in the country, and they were destroying everybody, and to get Pitt was, I mean, it was great because it was the first time a school had busted the BCS. We were in the national spotlight. Everyone, you know, as Jazz fans, we're not used to this, but everyone was around the country was cheering for us because everyone hated the BCS so much that they were excited that a team got in. So it was weird to be on the other end of that where everyone really was rooting for us. And Alex Smith was the face of that, and he was outstanding. And those were some fun memories. I remember, you know, being up there at the U with you, and we had some good times in those stands, maybe sneaking in some beverages, maybe having
Lots
good of a
fun
time.
Times.
Yeah, that's
Lots
when
of OJ 11 a.m. games, man. I'll tell you that. There aren't 11 a.m. games that often anymore up at Rice Eccles Stadium.
That was the year that it started to fill in the stands too.
True. I do want to bring up something with you before we go that I came across earlier today and get your perspective. If it occurs, the Tokyo Olympics are set to occur July 23rd, opening ceremonies 2021. Who knows if that'll go off based on COVID. But I was reading an article via Reuters this morning, and they have voted that taking a knee, raising a fist is punishable.
Punishable.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the punishment is, but they said they pulled the athletes.
Is this a Team USA thing or Olympic thing?
No, an Olympic, the IOC.
Okay, the IOC.
So all the Olympics.
Interesting. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I kind of understand how it might be an even hotter button issue in some other countries where they just legally don't allow that kind of thing. So
what are they gonna do though?
I don't know.
I mean, so if you're an athlete now, you sort of have to heed this, instruction and wait till you medal. You have to go. What is it, Tommy?
That's very interesting. I don't like that. I don't know, man. This is the first time I've heard about this. I kind of got to process that. I'm not.
Tommy Smith and John Carlos. I mean, and I've talked with some people who are alive. Today we sort of cherish that moment in Olympic history as something that was courageous and beneficial for the world to see that. But it is my understanding at that time, it wasn't exactly appreciated as much as we sort of make it seem. It was extremely courageous because the backlash was significant.
I can understand that.
Right. And I didn't always imagine it like that. But when I was told that, I mean, it makes sense given the time and place we are in the world. And it seems like we're there now.
Yeah,
Again, redo. I don't know how you're going to ask some of these athletes to not do that when they're on the podium.
Yeah, I agree. I think 50 years down the road, we're going to look back at this time and understand the importance of what's going on right now. As much as people are fighting against it, I think if everything progresses as I think it should, I think we'll be looking back fondly, and we will definitely. It's an interesting time, and I think it'll be appreciated more down the road than it is now, unfortunately.
And remember, Peter Norman, who was from Australia, also wore a badge that day of support, and they talked to him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, do it." So there was even buy-in from the second place, the silver medalist, that this needed to be done. Let's hope. I mean, they say they pulled the athletes, which seems weird.
Yeah.
I mean, did you pull them from like Russia and China and Kazakhstan? Then I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
I'm not sure if the sentiments would be the same from
they probably
Canada, USA, and England maybe, but who knows?
That's going to do it. Episode 365 of Dog and Deuce. Frank Turner interview drops on Monday. We will be back. If anything happens, we'll pop in for a quick cast because that was a lot of fun doing that. But as always, we'll be here next week breaking down the Utes, Jazz, Cougars, Aggies, and everything else in between. We want to know what you think of the show and anything else going on in the world of sports. So send us an email to doganddeuce@gmail.com. I'm Dog.
And I'm Deuce.
And we will see you next week.
Thanks for making us a part of your day. My apologies to Joe Ingles.
Good. You should apologize.
I've apologized 8 times.
I know.